Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, I'm bringing you guys Week 9 running back rankings for fantasy football in 2020. In this video, we are going to be discussing my top 32 ranked running backs for Week 9 of the 2020 fantasy football season. Before we get into it, I'd like to ask that if at any point inside of this video you end up enjoying it, please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below, because not only is it free, I put out content every single day to help you guys win that 2020 fantasy football championship. And real quick, before we get into it, I'd like to give you guys a quick word from my friends and my sponsor over at Drafters.com. Drafters.com offers a variety of games on their website, but one of my favorite ones to do for tonight, Thursday Night Football, is the Rank'em game. Pretty much what it is you see how there's numbers 1 through 10 here. You just have to order the players in what number you think they'll finish at the end of the game in fantasy points. Do you think Aaron Rodgers will have the best game? Put him at number 1, because you get 10 times the points that he scores, so on and so forth. So pretty much, to understand it as a whole, you just want to order them in order of who you think is going to do the best. Number 1 being best, number 10 being worst in the game. And if you get all these things, these numbers super high, you can end up winning the prize at the end of the game. So if you guys would like to check this out, use code Notorious at checkout. It gives you a 50% deposit bonus up to $100, as well as it has a 10 times rollover bonus on the withdrawal. So make sure you guys check it out. Drafters.com, code Notorious at checkout. And we are back. Let's get right into it. Week 9 running back rankings for fantasy football in 2020. We begin with running backs 1 through 12. Obviously, any guys that played on Thursday are not going to be in this video because they already played. At number 1, we have Dalvin Cook going up against the Detroit Lions. And Dalvin Cook's going to put his chef hat on yet again and cook up the Detroit Lions for some nice Detroit Lions fucking stew. Because Dalvin Cook last week didn't score 1, didn't score 2, didn't score 3, but a 4 fucking touchdowns for Dalvin Cook last week. And this matchup is soft serve ice cream as well, up against the Detroit Lions. And Dalvin Cook has been getting fed all week long, or all season long, I should say. So I like Dalvin Cook a lot here up against the Detroit Lions. At number 2, we have Christian McCaffrey, CMC Dynamite, going up against the Kansas City Chiefs in Arrowhead. I think Christian McCaffrey is going to make a tremendous, the greatest return you have ever seen in the history of returns. Christian McCaffrey is going to go balls deep in that Kansas City Chiefs defense. Christian McCaffrey is the one and only running back for fantasy football. If Dalvin Cook wasn't on such a tear, Christian McCaffrey would be the number 1 guy. Plus, he's returning from injury, so I'm not sure he's technically 100%, but I'm going to keep it 100 with you. You have to start Christian McCaffrey every single time the motherfucker is healthy. At number 3, we have Alvin Kamara going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. With Michael Thomas likely returning in this one, obviously you might think, oh no, now Alvin Kamara's not going to be as good because Michael Thomas is back. Don't be worried at all, because Alvin Kamara is still going to be the same running back with or without Michael Thomas. Maybe even better, because there's a tension on the field for another fucking player, because when Michael Thomas isn't there, it's literally just Alvin Kamara versus the fucking world at many points in the game. And I think up against Tampa Bay here, we see a heavy dosage of Mr. AK. At number 4, we have Derrick Henry going up against the Chi-Town Bears. Regardless if they're winning, they're losing, the Tennessee Titans love to run the goddamn ball, and Derrick Henry is obviously the main running back on the team. He is going to go ahead up against a kind of tough defense in Chicago, but they're not the Chicago defense of a couple of years ago where they're just going to completely lock you down. Derrick Henry will be able to escape out of the goddamn prison, and he's going to play well up against the Chicago Bears. Number 5, we have James Robinson going up against the Houston Texans, with Jake Luton starting at quarterback this week because Gardner Minshew is hurt, quote unquote. The guy's not actually hurt. They're just sitting him because they don't want him to win an extra game here, because they could easily beat the Houston Texans with Gardner Minshew under center. So they're giving it to Luton, which means they're probably going to run the ball a decent amount. Plus, James Robinson is very involved in the dump-off game for this team, and with a young quarterback, his first ever start in the NFL, a 6th-round draft pick in Jake Luton, I would think that he's going to dump it off a bit to the main running back on the team, James Robinson. At number 6, we have James Conner going up against the Dallas Cowboys. This is the primo matchup for a running back, because the Dallas Cowboys defense sucks fucking cock. And while James Conner hasn't necessarily been a top 5 or top 6 running back normally as the weeks go, this matchup has very, very, very easy for him, and he should be able to take advantage of that. So I got him at number 6 up against the Cowboys. And number 7, we have Chase Edmonds. Chase Edmonds going up against the Miami Dolphins. Now, I expect this game to be decently high scoring, a back and forth affair between the Arizona Cardinals and the Miami Dolphins. But I know one thing and one thing only, and that's Cliff Kingsbury, I should say, is going to use Chase Edmonds like he's a tool or something. He's going to go handy-mandy on Chase Edmonds' ass because Chase Edmonds gets a whole lot of use now that Kenyon Drake is hurt, okay? Now that Drake is hurt, Chase Edmonds has more value than Drake originally had. You want to know why? Because Drake had Chase Edmonds sniffing up his ass trying to get touches, so he was going to get touches. Now, it's just Chase Edmonds. Without Kenyon Drake, Edmonds gets more opportunity, and Edmonds is going to ball the fuck out up against the Miami Dolphins. At number 8, we have Josh Jacobs going up against the Los Angeles Chargers. Josh Jacobs got fed like his name was Ezekiel Elliott last week up against the Browns. Now, that was because the game was raining, it was snowing, it was sleeting, it was windy as fuck. So I don't expect Jacobs to get like 25 or 30. He had a crazy amount of touches last week. That's not going to happen again here up against the Los Angeles Chargers, but this is going to be a nice back and forth affair, and the Chargers defense can't stop shit past the third and fourth quarter, past the second half of the game. So I think Josh Jacobs is going to be expected, in my opinion, to score a decent amount of points in this one. At number 9, we have AG all days, not all day. That would be Adrian Peterson. This is Antonio Gibson. All get fucked in the ass if you run up against Antonio Gibson, going up against the New York Football Giants. Now, the New York Football Giants defense actually looked pretty solid last week up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but I think Antonio Gibson, Mr. AG, we need a nice nickname for him. He's going to be balling out up against the Giants. This is just going to be a whole lot of workload in a low-scoring game where they're going to try to run the ball all over the New York Football Giants. At number 10, we have CEH, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, going up against the Carolina Panthers at home in Arrowhead. Clyde Edwards-Helaire has been very solid thus far this season. In the last couple of weeks, not so hot though, but I do expect them to run the ball a decent amount up against the Carolina Panthers. And as you know, Le'Veon Bell has been completely fucking useless for this team. I have no idea why he's even there if they're not going to give him the ball, if I'm being completely honest. At number 11, we have Todd Gurley going up against the Denver Broncos. Now, Todd Gurley has been the complete and utter opposite of what I thought this motherfucker would be this season. This motherfucker has knee arthritis like he's your great-grandfather, but it hasn't seemed to matter, knock on wood, thus far this season because he has yet to get hurt, and they've yet to pull him and continue to give him a very strong workload for the Atlanta Falcons. This matchup does look pretty good. We saw the Chargers run pretty well up against the Denver Broncos last week, and Todd Gurley is a much better running back than, call me Miss Jackson, Justin Jackson. So I think Todd Gurley is going to have an all-right game here up against the Denver Broncos at running back 11. At number 12, we have DJ David Johnson going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars in Jacksonville. The Jaguars defense is soft serve fucking ice cream, and David Johnson, while hasn't looked amazing thus far this season, I feel a lot more confident starting him on a weekly basis without B.O.B. Bill O'Brien as the head coach of the team, because that guy was a dumbass on first down. He runs it up the gut. Second down, runs it up the gut. Now this new guy over there, he knows you can actually pitch it or run it, to the right, to the left, not north-south. You can run east and west. So David Johnson has looked a bit better, and up against this Jaguars defense, I expect a healthy workload for him in this matchup. Now on to running backs 13 through 24. If you guys have ended up enjoying thus far, please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. At running back 13, we have DeAndre Swift going up against the Minnesota Vikings. Now, the most confusing thing about DeAndre Swift for this week is, one, his quarterback. Does Matthew Stafford play or not? I don't know. This video was recorded on Saturday night or Friday night going into Saturday, so we don't know right now if Stafford is going to play or not. He has to clear another set of COVID protocols before he plays. Now, Vegas's line of this game tells you that they believe Stafford is going to be playing. The line isn't something outrageous, because if Stafford wasn't playing, the line would probably be like Detroit plus 10 instead of plus 4.5 or 5. So I think that it feels like, in my opinion, that he is going to end up suiting up on Sunday, which bodes well for DeAndre Swift. Another issue for Swift is the fact that Matt Patricia, the pencil in the ear dumbass, has no idea how to coach. Just doesn't. And he confuses you with DeAndre Swift because you bench Swift, he scores like 20 points. You start him, the motherfucker scores like 9 points. It's the same thing with DeAndre Swift, or with Deontay Johnson, except for DeAndre Swift doesn't get hurt and Deontay Johnson does when you start him. So I like Swift this week up against the Minnesota Vikings. With all things said, I think this is a good matchup for him, and I expect him to get a decent amount of workload in this one. At number 14, we have Ezekiel Elliott going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, you would have me fucking looking like a dumbass if at the beginning of the season you told me that, Nick, you would rank Zeke in week number 9 as running back number 14. But this is where we are in the year. The offensive line's a turnstile. The quarterback, no idea who it's going to be. The team, dumpster fire. So, This is where you have to put Zeke. He has no help here. The fact that Dak was there was lessening the work of the offensive line. I don't know how that works, but for some reason, the offensive line played better for Dak. The team just looked fine when Dak was there, but now it's a complete fucking dumpster fire. Mayhem everywhere. Jerry Jones is shitting himself watching every single game. This game's in Jerry's world. I have no idea what's going to happen. I don't feel comfortable starting Ezekiel Elliott, but the running back position, there's a lot of buys this week. There's a lot of guys on bye. There's a lot of injuries, so Ezekiel Elliott's a top 14 running back. But by God, is it scary playing Zeke with this shitty offensive line up against a good defensive line and one of the better defenses in the NFL in the Pittsburgh Steelers. Number 15, we have, just kidding, J.K. Dobbins going up against the Indianapolis Colts in Indianapolis. I understand that they have a good run defense and a good overall defense as a whole, but J.K. Dobbins is going to get a whole lot of use in this one up against the Indianapolis Colts, considering Mr. Mock Ingram is not going to be in this one. Dobbins and Gus Edwards looked very good last week, so I think we see a heavy dosage of J.K. Dobbins again here up against the Colts, considering Lamar Jackson and friends don't look good when they're passing the ball. At number 16, we have David Montgomery going up against the Tennessee Titans. Now, David Montgomery, I don't know, it's not even his fault. The offensive line's not very good, but by God, is Matt Nagy fucking stupid. Some games, Matt Nagy gets David Montgomery involved in the receiving game. He's getting these screens. He's getting these dump-offs. He's getting plays designed to get David Montgomery the ball. Then there's other games where they hand the ball to David Montgomery up the middle 7 million fucking times, and he does nothing. So it's a complete and utter coin flip if you're going to get the David Montgomery that's going to score a bunch of points, or if you're going to get the one that disappoints you and rails you right in the goddamn ass. But I think this week up against the Tennessee Titans, up against a defense that can't stop anyone on third down, up against a defense that doesn't look very good up against the run, I think David Montgomery is going to be very productive in this one at running back 16. At number 17, we have Call Me Miss Jackson, Justin Jackson going up against the Las Vegas Raiders. Justin Jackson has looked pretty solid the last couple of weeks, but again, it's really unknown what to do with him. You start Jackson, then last week some motherfucker named Pope came in there and balled out. Played well. So I don't know what to think about this. I know the Raiders defense is so-so. I know Justin Jackson is pretty decent. So I like him here at running back 17. I've seen other people rank him even higher, which I would definitely backpedal on and hit the reverse skirt back on that one because I don't really trust it. But I will have Jackson here ranked at 17, considering it's kind of a dumpster fire here after David Montgomery. Number 18, we have Wiki DJ Dallas going up against the Buffalo Bills. And no one circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. Now, Chris Carson has been ruled out in this game, so he's not going to be playing. Now, they did bring in a former running back of the Baltimore Ravens to be insurance here. Not even sure if he's going to end up playing. His name is escaping me, but to me, kind of irrelevant in the situation. I think Wiki DJ Dallas is going to be very involved in this game. DJ Dallas looked very good last week in the Seattle Seahawks game, so I like him here again up against the Buffalo Bills. And number 19, we have Leonard Fournette going up against the New Orleans Saints, and we've seen it time and time again. Ronald Jones, you fumble the ball, you motherfucker, and you're kicked out. You get absolutely cunt-punted by Bruce Arians, because Bruce Arians doesn't deal with that shit. He doesn't give a fuck who you are. If you fumble the ball, you're going to ride the goddamn pine and warm the bench for someone who's better than you. Maybe not even someone who's better than you, just who the guy he dubs is better than you. Leonard Fournette gets the opportunity now because Ronald Jones has fucking fumbleitis. Will Leonard Fournette produce in this game? I have no idea. I frankly do not, but what I do know is that I think that this is going to be a decently high-scoring game between the Bucs and the New Orleans Saints, so I will start the running back in this one, Leonard Fournette. At number 20, we have Melvin Gordon going up against the Atlanta Falcons. Now, this is a soft-serve ice cream matchup for Melvin Gordon, but Melvin Gordon looks like shit. Frankly, does not look good. Seems like they should be starting Phillip Lindsay, but they're not. They're not committing to Phillip Lindsay for some reason. I have no idea. If they commit to Lindsay, this team will look a lot better. But Melvin Gordon's still the starter, so I'll put him as a top 20 back, but I would not be surprised if Lindsay outscored him by a decent amount. Again, this week, the running back core looking not very hot due to all these injuries and buys. At number 21, we have Ronaldo Jones going up against the New Orleans Saints. I have them ranked very close because Fournette is the starter, but he'll still give touches to Jones, and if Fournette was to fumble, Fournette won't see the rest of the game, and Ronald Jones will. And if I'm being honest, it might be more useful to just fucking flip a coin on these guys and play heads or tails if you have both of them. Heads fucking Fournette, tails Jones, and whichever one it lands on, you just play him because that's as good of a guess as you can get due to how confusing Bruce Arians is as a head coach. At number 22, we have Damian Harris going up against the New York Football Jets. Now, Damian Harris has been running trains on defenses as the weeks have gone on here. And up against the New York Football Jets, this screams another matchup where they're just going to run the rock down the throat of the New York Football Jets in Gotham. So I think Damian Harris is going to be pretty solid this week at 22. I honestly think he's safer than Gordon, than Jones, and then Leonard Fournette, but he doesn't have as much upside since I don't feel this game is going to be decently high scoring at all. At number 23, we have JT going up against the Baltimore Ravens. Now, Jonathan Taylor must be afraid of getting yards. He must see the offensive or the defensive line and just shit himself or something because Jonathan Taylor has not looked good at all this season, or not looked as good as what I thought he would look as good as, because, right, he's not like a complete and utter dumpster fire or something. Last week, hurt himself. So I have no idea what to think about Jonathan Taylor. Start him at your own risk. There's a lot of other guys I'd feel much more comfortable with starting than Jonathan Taylor. I've really kind of pivoted back on Jonathan Taylor this week. But again, you're probably not going to have other options, so you're just going to have to roll him out there. But I would like to see what he does up against the Ravens instead of rolling him out. But again, a lot of guys on bye, so Jonathan Taylor gets his way up to 23. At 24, we have Zach Moss going up against the Seattle Seahawks. This is a back-and-forth game, in my opinion. Why I like DJ Dallas is also kind of why I like Zach Moss. But again, Zach Moss and Singletary are these parasitic running backs. They eat into each other's workload like a fat kid chows down at his Chinese fucking buffet, because it sucks, frankly, for fantasy football, because unless one of them are hurt, you're really guessing on the touchdown, and it seems like Zach Moss is the goal line guy. So I would lean Zach Moss over Devin Singletary at this point in the season, especially up against a very cupcake matchup in the Seattle Seahawks. Next game, here we got, or next running backs 25 through 32. So again, if you guys have ended up enjoying thus far, please make sure to hit the subscribe button with the 1-2 goddamn Mayweather. At 25, we have LaMichael P. Ryan. You LaMike that! Going up against the New England Patriots. Now, LaMichael P. Ryan hasn't really broke out as a running back this season, but up against New England has looked suspect on defense this season. So, in a game I believe is going to be low scoring, I think LaMichael P. Ryan gets involved in this one at running back 25. At 26, we have James White at the New York Football Jets. So this is a fucking cupcake, soft serve matchup for the for the Patriots up against the New York Football Jets. But you know what's going to fucking happen? James White won't get any dump offs. He won't do anything because that's what he's done the last couple of weeks. Now, knock on wood, I hope he turns it around and is a guy you can start again in fantasy football for the weeks going forward. But what he's shown me in the last couple of weeks of sample size, I am scared as fuck of James White. At number 27, we have Le'Veon Bell going up against the Carolina Panthers. I have no confidence in Andy Reid giving this guy touches. I don't know what the fuck this man is waiting for. He brought him in a trade or they picked him up for a reason. Guess the reason was to sit on the bench because Le'Veon Bell has done nothing. I think he will eventually get a lot of work, but as of right now, we just have not seen it, so I don't feel comfortable at all starting Le'Veon Bell, and that's why he's at running back 27. At 28, we have Devin Singletary going up against the Seattle Seahawks. Again, we just spoke about it. The parasitic backfield in Buffalo. Without one of them getting hurt, you really have no idea which one to start, and at this point, I lean Zach Moss heavily over Devin Singletary. Number 29, we have Philip Lindsay going up against the Atlanta Falcons. Philip Lindsay here, this is a very good spot for him, but the issue is that the team just doesn't want to see Philip Lindsay winning like his name was Kodak goddamn Black, because Philip Lindsay is the best running back in this backfield, and it's not even a fucking contest. But at the end of the day, he's not going to be the guy getting a majority of the touches, so you cannot really trust him. At number 30, we have Gus Bus Edwards going up against the Indianapolis Colts. He's actually the guy back here that I would have the most confidence in starting, but I think a guy like LaMichael P. Ryan, a guy like Le'Veon Bell, a guy like Philip Lindsay, if they get loose, could have more upside than him, especially up against a tough Colts defense when I feel like J.K. Dobbins is going to get a majority of the touches. At number 31, we have Wayne Gallman going up against the Washington Football Team. This is a very tough matchup for Wayne Gallman. The Washington Football Team's front seven is grade A fucking scary. It's like that horror movie you watched when you were 7 years old and still scars you to this day. When you turn off the lights, you still see that spooky ghost that was from that movie. And Wayne Gallman is going to be seeing ghosts like his name was Sammy fucking Mono, Sam Darnold, because I don't trust Wayne Gallman this week up against Chase Young and friends in Washington. Final running back, number 32. We got Nyheim Hines going up against the Baltimore Ravens. We saw Hines and Wilkins run a train last week when Jonathan Taylor was just nowhere to be found. But apparently he's fine. So I don't know if I could trust Nyheim Hines this week. That's why I got him at 32, because we were suckered in to him after week one. Week one, Nyheim Hines triple pumped some defense. Just absolutely railroaded them. And then after that, did nothing until last week. So I don't really trust him. So I got him at running back number 32, especially with Taylor likely healthy in this matchup. So thank you guys all for watching. If you did end up enjoying, please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. I love each and every single one of you motherfuckers, and I can't wait to see you guys in the later video. Have a great rest of your guys' day. I love you all. Drafters.com, code Notorious at checkout.